Well, hey, Elizabeth, thanks for joining me on the Daily Dose of the Gospel, just helping to give people words of encouragement to stay grounded in Jesus. And I know if Zero doesn't know already, just that you are one of the missionaries that we support. I know you've worked as a medical missionary in Honduras, but are home now with your family in Berwick, Maine. But just, I had a couple questions I wanted to ask you and just to hear from your perspective and how you're navigating these times and just to be able to, again, provide some words of encouragement and hope to others.
Sure.
But so yeah, the first question is just how have you been adjusting to all the changes due to the coronavirus?
Well, it's been quite interesting. I came to Maine on a scheduled trip to visit my family, and I was supposed to be here for a couple of weeks, and then to go back. I was supposed to go back to Honduras last weekend, but the day after I left Honduras completely closed its borders without warning. So I actually have missionary friends that like one of them, she's stuck in the States, and her family with 4 kids, they're stuck in Honduras, and she's been here for 6 weeks now,
She's,
away from
she's
her
still she's
family
still
of
in Honduras?
small kids. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're also missionaries. So it's been quite interesting for everybody. And then like, most of my plans that I had for my trip of seeing a whole lot of people and doing, like having a few adventures and whatnot, like all of that got canceled. So it was pretty frustrating in the beginning,
Hmm.
and just trying to like let go of the plans that I had and just kind of seeing where God takes me in the next, possibly next couple of months, maybe even, as this all plays out. But I think that He has me here for a reason.
Absolutely. No, yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. Um, and as I've shared, I know you've been serving as a medical missionary in Honduras, but if you could tell us a little bit, obviously you've just recently returned to the States and that was part of the
Mhm.
plan, and you're hoping to return back by, was it this weekend?
Yeah,
Um,
this past weekend.
Wow. So, I mean, can you just tell us a little bit, how are the people doing there? Obviously, I'm assuming you've been able to stay in touch with some of the staff there and the people there, but just how is the hospital
Yep.
doing? How are the people of Honduras doing, and just how we can be praying alongside of you and for the people there?
So Honduras actually pretty much completely shut down. All of the public transportation is shut down. So there's no access to the cities, and you're only allowed to go into the city once a week, and it has to correspond with your ID number.
Hmm.
And there's only 2 people allowed in a vehicle. So there are actually police checkpoints all over the country, stopping every single car on the road to make sure that they're complying with the 2-person rule per vehicle.
Hmm.
And that's the only way that they can get food right now. So, and along each route, there's actually bleach stations where they're like car washes just built over the road, and as you pass through it, it sprays your car down with bleach.
Wow.
Yep, they spray the tires, they spray your shoes, like they make sure that everything is sprayed. So and that's when you go into the city and when you come out.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's been pretty challenging for them. So the hospital is pretty rural, so it's been com- pretty much completely cut off from the city and from our patients being able to get there. So the majority of our scheduled appointments um, cannot even arrive at the hospital.
hmm.
So thankfully, the government has made allowances for like emergency situations, and our pregnant ladies can still get to the hospital, but they have to have a very legitimate reason to leave their house.
Hmm.
So it's been pretty interesting. It's been difficult as far for the nationals because they have very, very limited access to food. So the hospital is actually working on providing food for them. The hospital is able to order food in bulk and then to distribute it through the community. Um, there are families just within our village near the hospital that are eating their pets because they don't know, like they have no food.
Wow. Wow. And have you been in touch with some of the staff in the hospital that you've worked with in terms of how they're doing personally?
Yeah, and they're, they're hanging in there. The hospital is helping them a lot. Like the hospital cafeteria is still open, and then the hospital actually providing with them with food. But they're actually pretty happy because they were worried about actually losing their jobs and the hospital shutting down. So they were actually really happy when the hospital only, like, they had to cut their pay by 25%, so to like to keep the hospital afloat. So but the staff is actually very pleased with that because they do have a little bit of income.
Wow. Okay. No, thank you for sharing that. It just helps us to know more specifically how we can be praying too and coming alongside you and just the people there. So, um, so what are you doing? I mean, now that you're back in Maine, I know you're with your parents here in Berwick, Maine, but what are you doing now just to keep yourself busy and um,
Well, after about 2 weeks, I was super stir crazy, and the thankfully being a nurse, I'm one of the considered like a essential employees. So, I actually was able to get a job, like a as needed job at the nursing home down the road. I used to work there way back when I was a CNA in nursing school. So I gotten to see some of there's a few of the residents still there that I used to know, and then some of the staff I used to know, and like met some new people, and like they keep me busy. I'm like, I'll do whatever you want. Just give me something to
yeah.
do.
Well, that's great. How amazing is that you have those kinds of skills to be able to provide them
Yeah.
like this too. So,
Yeah, so I'm getting to hang out with them, and I'm working not only as a nurse there, but also like also as a nurse's assistant. Sometimes I pick up those shifts and kind of help the assistants also, and um, just taking care of the residents and hanging out with them, and
oh,
so
that's great.
I've been keeping busy.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear. And thank you for
Yeah.
obviously all that you're doing. Um, just another question. How has your faith helped you to cope with these changes?
I really feel that even though it's super, super scary, and like, especially in the beginning, we really had no idea what was going to happen and how this was all going to play out. But knowing that we don't know what's going on, but God already knew before this was even going to happen that it was going to happen, and He somehow has all of this in His control. And just seeing, like, in my life personally, how this is kind of playing out, and God blessing me with being able to spend time with my family that I haven't spent more than about 12 days with them and at a time in 5 years now. So
Wow.
almost 5 years, yeah, about 5 years now. So and like getting to see my nieces that are growing up, and getting to hang out with them, and just having rest and refreshment, and like somehow God has this in control, and I don't know exactly where it's going, but somehow He does.
Mm, absolutely. No, and I mean, how amazing it is that the timing too that you're able to get home just before all this happened to be with your family and and to be able to rest and be renewed in this time as well. But um, well, the last question I have is there a particular Bible verse that has been helpful for you during this time that might be a word of encouragement for others?
I've actually been kind of meditating through Psalm 23. Like, it's so popular, and it's one that like everybody kind of knows by heart. But I've never actually like studied it before, and just taking it phrase by phrase and kind of meditating on it and like diving into what it actually means. And I love how where I think it's in verse 2 about um the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, and how like the green pastures that David was talking about was actually this desert hillside outside of Jerusalem that is, you know, they only get like 23 inches of rain a year, and it's super, super sparse. And how the shepherd every single day leads his sheep across the field, and every day he makes sure that each sheep gets enough grass to be able to like for that day. And then the next day they go out and he goes out and takes them out again. And just like how God gives us, he doesn't give us what we need for all of our life at once, but and just like plop us in the middle of a green pasture and like, here, have what you want. And he just gives us what we need every single day to move on.
Amen. That's such a great word, a great reminder, especially when we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, just to know that he does provide for our needs in the
Mhm.
here and now. So, no, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. I really appreciate you just sharing, just again, from your perspective and how you're navigating this, and just how we can be praying for you specifically, for the people of Honduras. And again, just to help people to stay encouraged and stay grounded in Jesus during this time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it and appreciate all of your love and support.
Absolutely. All right. Well, take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.